A year prior, Guihan entered an intense competition known as the Squid Games, where indebted individuals compete for a colossal cash prize. Guihan emerged as the champion, securing the grand reward, but tragically, every other participant lost their lives. Presently, Guihan is at the airport, attempting to fly to the United States to reunite with his daughter. However, upon witnessing another desperate individual being recruited for the Squid Games, Guihan decides against leaving. Determined to dismantle the organization behind these deadly games, he chooses to stay and seek out those responsible. Shortly after, he receives a menacing phone call from the enigmatic frontman, who threatens dire consequences if Guihan persists in his quest. Ignoring the threat, Guihan continues his journey back to Seoul. Along the way, he stops at a store to purchase a knife. Later, in the motel bathroom, he conducts a thorough search of his body and discovers a hidden tracker behind his ear, which he promptly removes. Meanwhile, Detective Junho awakens, disoriented and unaware of his current location. A year ago, Junho had infiltrated the Squid Games to find his brother Inho, who was revealed to be the front man. In a tragic turn, Inho shot Junho and pushed him off a cliff, believing him to be dead. Miraculously, Junho was rescued by a passing ship and taken to a hospital, where he has now regained consciousness after being in a coma. Fast forward 2 years, Junho is now employed as a traffic officer. After losing his phone, which contained crucial evidence about the Squid Games found in the ocean, he nearly faced dismissal for his unexplained disappearance. Fortunately, his boss vouched for him, resulting only in a demotion. In his spare time, Junho collaborates with Captain Park, the man who found his body, to search every nearby island in hopes of uncovering the Squid Games once again. Meanwhile, Guihan is concealed in a motel, having installed numerous security cameras for protection. One night, he dreams of the front man standing at his door accompanied by 2 human heads, but dismisses it as mere nightmare. Later, he meets with Mr. Kim, a loan shark, and his assistant Woo Seok, whom he has hired to track down the recruiter responsible for enlisting new players into the games. Despite their diligent efforts, they have yet to locate him. Frustrated by the lack of progress, Guihan decides to allocate more resources, offering Kim and Woo Seok additional funds to recruit more individuals and even proposing a substantial reward for anyone who can capture the elusive recruiter. In response, Kim and Woo Seok organize an extensive operation, enlisting a group of gangsters to aid in their search. They consolidate all available clues and disperse throughout every subway station, meticulously scrutinizing any individual who vaguely matches the recruiter's description. However, their search remains fruitless, leading Woo Seok to question the authenticity of the story. One night during a break, the duo finally spots the recruiter engaged in a slapping game, extending invitations to potential participants, including a man named Myung-gi. As the recruiter exits the station, Kim and Woo Seok trail him, simultaneously alerting Guihan of their discovery. At that exact moment, Myung-gi receives a call from his pregnant ex-girlfriend, Junho, but chooses not to answer. Junho is currently at a clinic but cancels her appointment after receiving an invitation to join the Squid Games. Moments later, the recruiter arrives at a park and approaches homeless individuals, offering them a choice between a bread roll or a scratch card. Only one person opts for the bread, while all others select the scratch card. However, none of the scratch cards reveal any prizes. Subsequently, the recruiter discards the leftover bread on the ground and begins stomping on it, accusing the tramps of wasting food. Kim and Woo Seok capture the entire incident on camera and send the footage to Guihan. Meanwhile, downtown, Guihan is driving recklessly and is pulled over by the police. A rookie officer records his personal information before issuing him a ticket. When Junho reviews his partner's screen, he recognizes Guihan's name from the Squid Games. Junho searches the system and retrieves an address associated with a car rental company. At the park, the recruiter departs, prompting Kim and Woo Seok to follow him into an alley in an attempt to apprehend him. Unfortunately, the recruiter proves to be swift and easily overpowers both of them. Moments later, Guihan finally arrives at the scene and discovers blood and a knife but no sign of the men. Meanwhile, the recruiter has abducted Kim and Woo-seok, taking them to a luxurious room where he ties them up. He informs them that they must play rock, paper, scissors, with the loser facing Russian roulette. During the initial rounds, nothing occurs as there is only one bullet in the gun, making the chances of survival relatively high. However, the recruiter incrementally adds a bullet each turn, intensifying the danger. Eventually, Mr. Kim is shot in the head. Witnessing this, a terrified Woo-seok agrees to cooperate. That evening, Junho infiltrates the office where Kim had organized the operation and discovers paperwork containing the motel address. When Guihan returns to the motel, the recruiter awaits him. The recruiter reveals that he began as a low-level participant in the Squid Games, tasked with disposing of deceased players and eliminating those who misbehaved. One day, he was forced to take care of a player who turned out to be his father, and without hesitation the recruiter killed him as well. Subsequently, the recruiter announces that they will play Russian roulette. The gun changes hands multiple times without any incidents, but eventually the bullet fires, striking the recruiter, who dies instantly. Guihan inspects his pockets and finds a black envelope. At that moment, Junho bursts into the hotel and discovers Woo-seok in a random room. After freeing him, Junho continues his search and locates Guihan. As Junho attempts to arrest Guihan, Woo-seok intervenes by knocking Junho out with a fire extinguisher. Guihan examines the card from the envelope, which references Club HDH and a date, October 31st at midnight. Junho regains consciousness and shares his findings with Guihan, agreeing to collaborate in ending the Squid Games. Woo-seok also expresses his desire to help in order to avenge Kim's death. Guihan displays the money he won and the weapons he has accumulated thus far. There is a hole in the motel wall that leads to a back room where they can discreetly practice shooting without attracting attention. At an amusement park's parking lot, Noeul sleeps in her car. A police officer knocks on her window, warning her that she cannot stay there any longer, signaling that this might be the last time. The following day, Noeul begins her shift as a park mascot. Her kindness towards the children earns her a drawing from a young girl. After work, she takes the small amount of money she earned to a broker, hoping he can help rescue her daughter from North Korea. Unfortunately, the broker has already searched for the child without success and admits he cannot do anything more. That night, a new recruiter arrives and hands Noeul an invitation to join the Squid Games. The next day, Noeul quits her job and contacts the number on the invitation to accept her entry into the games. She then burns the invitation card and the drawing the child gave her. As part of his plan, Guihan has a tooth removed and replaces it with a fake one embedded with a tracker. He also hires a group of thugs who train with his weapons in the hidden room. Later, Guihan attempts to call his daughter, but refrains from speaking, only listening to her voice before hanging up. When the day of the games arrives, the club is bustling with people celebrating Halloween. Guihan and Woo-seok search the club while Junho maintains a lookout outside. Enjoying the story so far? Subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support powers our adventures. Don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive back into the adventure. Junho notices two individuals wearing guard uniforms from the games and follows them into the club, threatening the bouncer to gain entry. Unfortunately, he arrives too late. One of the guards tasers Woo-seok, rendering him unconscious, while the other forces Guihan to leave the club. Junho discovers Woo-seok unconscious and observes the tracker indicating that Guihan is departing. He warns his hired thugs to remain vigilant. Guihan is escorted to a limousine by the thugs, who begin trailing him in their vehicles. The frontman communicates with Guihan through a speaker, threatening to continue the games unless Guihan ceases his interference. He explains that the game will persist as long as the system continues to exploit individuals. Upon reaching an empty street, hidden snipers stationed on various rooftops fire at the thugs' car tires to halt their pursuit. Noticing the sudden attack, Guihan opens fire inside the limousine, but the glass proves to be bulletproof. Resolute in his plan, Guihan has no choice but to volunteer to participate in the Squid Games once again. Sleeping gas quickly incapacitates him. At the docks, 3 trucks arrive to transport more participants, including Noeul. Although she was not selected as a player, she is designated as one of the guards. The following morning, Junho and his team board Captain Park's ship, along with the thugs, to track Guihan's signal from the tracker. On the island, Guihan awakens inside the Squid Games facility, surrounded by new players. He is dressed in the game uniform and assigned the number 456, just as before. The guards arrive to explain the rules. Players will compete over 6 days, and those who win all 6 games will receive a substantial cash prize. Myung-gi interrupts to inquire about his phone, prompting the guards to display a video showcasing his past as a YouTuber. His career collapsed after promoting a new cryptocurrency, causing thousands to lose money, rendering him a wanted man for fraud. The video also reveals that numerous players have amassed significant debts, which compelled them to join the games. A large piggy bank appears on the ceiling, symbolizing the accumulating money from the games, destined to reach 45 billion. After each game, players can vote on whether to continue or end the competition. If the majority opts to stop, everyone can leave with the money they've earned up to that point. The guards are interrupted when Young-sik discovers that his elderly mother, Geumja, is also a participant. Despite the game's disregard for age, Geumja is determined to continue. The next step involves signing consent forms. After Myung-gi completes his, he is approached by Namgyu and rapper Thanos, who lost money in the cryptocurrency scam. Myung-gi remains indifferent, but Thanos grows increasingly aggressive, prompting Namgyu to intervene and prevent the situation from escalating. The players are sent out to participate in the first game. Guihan is shocked to discover that his old friend Jung-bai is also participating and urges him to stay close. Meanwhile, Junho and his team follow the tracker to the island and deploy a drone to locate the facility. The island appears deserted except for a fisherman. The group quickly surrounds him and finds the tracker among his tools, indicating that the game organizers had removed it from Guihan's mouth when he was incapacitated by the sleeping gas. Shortly after, the players are ushered to a yard where a massive doll awaits them. Guihan is concerned because his friends are missing, so he removes his dental implant to discover that the tracker has been removed, forcing him to participate. The first game is red light, green light, where players have 5 minutes to reach the other end of the yard, moving only when the doll announces green light. If the doll declares red light, players must remain still. Any movement during red light results in immediate elimination, which in this context means death. Guihan attempts to warn everyone that elimination is fatal, but his warnings are met with disbelief. The game commences, and the frontman, Junho, watches intently from his private room. Determined to save his friends, Guihan shouts instructions, signaling when to move and when to freeze, allowing many players to advance without incident. However, when Thanos alerts a woman about a bee on her neck, she panics and moves, resulting in her instant elimination. The bee flies away, causing another player to become frightened and move, leading to their elimination as well. This chaos triggers widespread panic, prompting Noeul to begin shooting down fleeing players from her guard position. Guihan continues to urge everyone to stay still, but numerous players are still eliminated, resulting in significant casualties. Observing the situation, Noeul methodically begins shooting down players who deviate from the rules. Despite the mounting death toll, Guihan maintains his efforts to guide the remaining players, emphasizing the importance of adhering to the game's rules to minimize further loss of life. After several more rounds and numerous deaths, approximately half of the group manages to cross the finish line. However, one of the eliminated players miraculously remains alive, prompting Guihan to rush back and help him reach safety. Unfortunately, Noeul breaks protocol by killing the injured man after he crosses, further heightening tensions. Upon returning to the shared room, the players are informed that 91 people have been killed and 365 remain in the competition. As some players begin pleading for mercy, Guihan reminds them that they have the option to vote to end the games. The guards proceed to fill the piggy bank with the money accumulated thus far, which is insufficient to satisfy the high number of participants. The voting process begins, requiring players to press a button and receive a sticker indicating their choice. Observing that many are voting to continue, Guihan attempts to warn the players about the impending challenges in future games. An argument erupts, forcing him to admit his previous attempts to sabotage the games. Thanos perceives this as an advantage, believing Guihan can aid in ensuring everyone's survival. The guards interrupt the dispute, enforcing compliance with the voting process. Back in Seoul, Junho seeks assistance from the police, but they refuse to take action without concrete evidence. He instructs Woo Seok and the thugs to continue searching the nearby islands, but Captain Park informs them that they must wait due to bad weather. The next day, Thanos continues to secretly consume his stash of happy candies. Junho approaches Myung-gi to inform him that she is keeping the baby, contrary to their previous agreement. Their argument is abruptly interrupted by the announcement of the second game, which deviates from Guihan's prediction of Dalgona. Players are led to a yard and instructed to form teams of 5 for the next challenge. Most players no longer trust Guihan, resulting in him being placed in a team with Inho, Jungbai, Daiho, and Junhee. The upcoming game is six-legged pentathlon, where each team member's legs are tied together. They must take turns playing mini-games at 10-meter intervals, with a 5-minute limit to complete all 5 games. After teams select which member will participate in each game, the guards tie their ankles together. While the first 2 teams begin competing, the waiting teams observe to glean strategies. Daeho watches his team handling the challenges and starts practicing with stones from the ground. Teams that fail to complete a game are allowed to restart multiple times, though this significantly consumes time and increases anxiety. This prolonged process heightens players' fear and nervousness, leading to more mistakes. Instead of focusing on the game, Namgyu urges Thanos to share his stash of happy candies. As the first round concludes, both teams fail to finish the games, resulting in the immediate elimination of all 10 players on the field. Guards swiftly remove the bodies in coffins, but Noeul ensures each body is thoroughly disposed of by shooting them again. The following team arrives to play the next game. Young-mi is extremely nervous and continuously fails the initial game, but Hyunju gently reassures her, allowing her to regain composure and ultimately win. Young-sik misses his first rock throw, but successfully lands the second. Gumja struggles initially with the candy pieces but quickly recovers, winning the challenge with her son's support. As the crowd cheers their success, the 5th team member becomes overly nervous upon seeing blood on the ground. She struggles to prepare her spinning top despite numerous attempts. Hyunju resorts to slapping her a few times and issuing threats until she regains focus and successfully uses the spinning top, enabling her team to complete the challenge just in time. Hyunju is assigned to kick a pom-pom 5 times. She executes her task flawlessly on the first attempt, securing her team's victory just in the nick of time. The subsequent teams continue to compete with varying degrees of success. Most manage to pass, including Thanos' group, but some fail and are eliminated, resulting in bloodshed throughout the facility. The final 2 teams consist of random participants and Guihan's team. Junhee starts by winning her first attempt, and Jungbei successfully completes his rock toss on his first try as well. Thanks to his rigorous practice, Daeho also succeeds without missing. Unfortunately, Inho continues to miss his spinning top throws, causing him to panic. Guihan steps in to calm him down, providing the necessary support for Inho to finally win the game. With only a few seconds remaining, Guihan begins kicking the pom-pom and nearly misses, but Inho assists him, allowing the team to successfully finish the challenge. The opposing team fails to complete the challenge and is eliminated. When the players return to their shared room, Hyunju informs her team that she needs the prize money to fund her transition surgery. Displeasure grows among her teammates as they see Guihan's success. His team decides to properly introduce themselves, with Inho using a fake name to conceal his true identity. Meanwhile, two guards force Noeul into her room, reprimanding her for mishandling the bodies. She attempts to defend herself, but the two guards overpower her with knives, cutting her cheek as they warn her that any further interference will result in severe consequences, such as having her fingers cut off. Afterward, the guards move on to the players' room to add the money to the piggy bank, announcing that 110 players have been eliminated in the last game, leaving 255 participants remaining. With voting time approaching, players prepare to cast their votes on whether to continue the games. The atmosphere is tense as players debate their options. Guihan, feeling responsible, encourages his team to vote in favor of ending the games to prevent further loss of life. However, tensions run high as some players, driven by their debts and desperation, argue to continue. Later, during dinner, players congregate based on their sticker choices to share a meal. Both factions attempt to persuade each other to change their votes, reigniting the ongoing debate. Amidst the chaos, Guihan notices that his food package contains a fork, which seems unnecessary for the meal being served. Shortly after, Thanos and Namgyu harass Minsu in the bathroom, trying to coerce him into altering his vote. Thanos begins shouting aggressively, but is soon interrupted by Myung-gi, who calls upon other members of his voting group to defend Minsu. Thanos summons backup and starts insulting Junho to provoke Myung-gi, who falls for the bait and attempts to punch him. This triggers a full-scale fight among all the men in the bathroom. Amid the chaos, Minsu seizes the opportunity to escape. In the midst of the brawl, Thanos violently pushes Myung-gi to the ground in an attempt to choke him. Myung-gi retaliates by stabbing Thanos in the neck with a fork. The fight results in the destruction of a mirror, providing the players with shards of glass to use as weapons. Two guards outside hear the commotion but remain inactive. Shortly after, 5 deaths are announced in the main room, and the money is added to the piggy bank. Junho feels sympathy for Myung-gi and signals him to hide when the fight begins. As soon as the lights go out, Guihan and his close friends hide under the beds, bracing themselves for the impending conflict. The opposing team launches an attack, resulting in widespread casualties throughout the facility. In the darkness, it becomes difficult to identify team affiliations, exacerbating the chaos. Guihan is deeply troubled by the mounting deaths and feels conflicted about his role in the violence. However, he rationalizes that these sacrifices are necessary to prevent even greater loss of life in the future. Minsu attempts to throw glass shards to kill Namgyu, but his aim is off, allowing Namgyu to retaliate by using the shard to eliminate more players. Eventually, the lights are turned back on, and guards enter the room to quell the fight. Guihan and his team feign death, allowing them to ambush the guards and seize their weapons. The players immediately open fire, killing half of the guards, while the remaining guards hide behind beds to shoot back. As more guards are killed, the players acquire additional guns, bolstering their firepower. Observing this, the officer instructs the remaining guards to evacuate the room, and the door is subsequently locked. One guard inadvertently remains behind and is taken hostage. An armed player attempts to shoot everyone responsible for the night's violence, but Guihan intervenes, preventing the attack. While Junho disables the security cameras, Guihan and Junbai deliver a passionate speech, urging more volunteers to join their mission to eliminate the higher-ups behind the Squid Games. Yongsik expresses his desire to join, but his mother Gumja restrains him. Junho gestures towards Myung-gi, encouraging him to stay committed to their cause. Although only a few players join their team, their determination remains unwavering. They share the guns and radios among themselves as Junho trains them in the use of more advanced weapons, leveraging her background as a sergeant in the Special Forces. Subsequently, the team forces the remaining hostage to guide them to the administrative office. Upon reaching the colorful stairs, they are ambushed by more soldiers who immediately open fire, leading to an intense shootout. The team swiftly neutralizes the guards with relative ease. After disabling the cameras in the administrative office, the team continues moving forward, gathering ammunition from fallen soldiers along the way. As they near the admin door, additional guards arrive and resume the firefight. resulting in the hostage being killed once more. A renewed gun battle ensues, prompting Guihan and Junho to decide to proceed alone in their search for the mastermind, while the rest of the team provides cover and buys them time. Guihan and Junho methodically open every door in the corridor, only to find them blocked. Guihan notices a hidden sensor on the wall and dons a soldier mask, which activates a hidden passageway leading to another corridor. They encounter more guards along the way, using the mask to deceive and eliminate them silently. In the main corridor, the team suffers some casualties and begins to run low on bullets. Guihan and Junho radio for assistance, informing their team that they are trapped with soldiers. Junho and 2 other players rush to their aid. Daiho volunteers to search for additional bodies to collect more ammunition. Meanwhile, Guihan takes a risky move by approaching bodies to steal bullets, narrowly avoiding injury with only a graze on his arm. At that moment, Junho arrives with the 2 men and informs Guihan that he has discovered an alternate entrance to the administrative office. He requests that Guihan and Junho continue to distract the guards while he leads them through the new passageway. Guihan agrees, handing over his remaining ammunition, believing that Daiho will soon return with additional supplies. Inside the room, Daiho gathers as much ammo as possible from the deceased bodies with the assistance of the other players. However, as Daiho attempts to exit, he hears all the shooting and becomes frightened, causing him to drop the radio and retreat back to the room to stay with the others. Hyunju notices the suspicious silence and decides to investigate, suspecting that something is amiss. Meanwhile, Junho remains alone with the 2 men in the hallway, patiently waiting for them to turn around before eliminating them both. Junho then contacts Guihan over the radio, feigning that they have all been shot by using the dying noises of his teammates to simulate death. He instructs his men to conclude the operation swiftly. In the main room, Hyunju gathers all the ammunition from Daiho, but is interrupted when a group of guards arrives, demanding accountability for the chaos. She pleads for the guards to leave peacefully, emphasizing that she cannot fight them alone. Despite her pleas, the guards press forward, and Gyumja convinces Hyunju to remain hidden rather than engage in further violence. In the main corridor, one of the remaining team members decides to commit suicide with his last bullet, while the other 2 choose to surrender. Nevertheless, the guards kill them regardless of their choice. Hearing the tumult on the radio, Guihan and Junho also choose to surrender. Junho appears once more, donning the frontman's mask, and informs Guihan that these are the consequences of playing hero. Without hesitation, Junho shoots Junho in the head, eliminating another member of the team. Guihan is devastated by the loss of his friend and becomes frantic over the unfolding events. The guards restrain him, preparing to maintain control over the remaining players. Sometime later, the remaining participants are ushered into another game featuring 2 dolls, signaling the continuation of the Squid Games.